Do you really want to grow old and feel like your own home is no longer your home? Like your time has no value? And like your grown children think it is perfectly normal to talk to you like you are a burden, use you, and then expect you to applaud them for it? Because this does not start when you are sick or tired. It starts much earlier, the day you confused love with allowing everything and let attitudes slide that over the years end up costing you dearly. Stay with me, Gabriel here. Welcome to the Stoic Garden. Today we are going to look at 8 attitudes you should never allow in your grown children if you do not want your old age to turn into a silent battlefield. And by the end, you will have a clear compass for setting boundaries without guilt, without shouting, and without losing your dignity, especially with the last one, which is the one that destroys you most deeply when it is already too late. Let us begin. 1. Do not allow disrespect disguised as personality or just a joke, because this is where everything starts to break without you even noticing. They do not yell at you, they do not slam the table, they do not make a scene. They laugh, they throw a cutting remark at you, and the moment you open your mouth they finish you off with the classic, "Come on, it was just a joke." And you, to avoid tension, smile as if nothing happened. That gesture, that uncomfortable smile, is a signature. It tells them without words that your dignity is negotiable. Look at how it works. The grown child tests the ground. They correct you in a tone they would never use with their boss. They belittle you in front of others. They call you dramatic. They talk to you as if you are the problem for having boundaries. And if you let it slide, the next step is easy. It is no longer a joke. It becomes their normal way of treating you. And the saddest part is that you start getting used to it yourself, as if it were the price of having a family. Some people confuse personality with rudeness. And the worst part is that they say it proudly, as if it were a personal brand. That's just how I am. Fine. And you can be who you are too, but with dignity, because having character is not about trampling people. It is about standing firm without needing to humiliate anyone. Disrespect does not become elegant just because it comes wrapped in laughter. It is still disrespect, just wearing cheap makeup. And in the middle of all this, ask yourself something honestly. If a stranger spoke to you that way on the street, would you just stand there smiling? So why should your own grown child have special permission to treat you worse than a stranger would? What message are you sending yourself when you swallow that? It is not just about what you allow from them. It is about what you teach yourself about your own worth. The Stoics were very clear about this, not because they were cold, but because they understood how the soul works. Epictetus, who was a slave and later a teacher, said something simple and brutal. Before reacting, examine the impression that reaches your mind and ask whether it deserves your assent. And that applies here, because disrespect wants one thing, for you to either lose control or submit. If you lose control, they paint you as the crazy one. If you submit, they turn you into a doormat. You choose a third path, clarity. And what is that path? Naming what is happening without theatrics. No endless speeches, no explosions. Just one clear sentence with a calm look. You do not speak to me like that. And if they come back with, "Wow, you get offended by everything," you do not bite the hook. You hold your ground. Because when you keep your boundary without stepping into the circus, the show ends. Sarcasm loses its audience. The joke is left standing there alone. And yes, it will make people uncomfortable. Of course it will. The person who was comfortable disrespecting you will see your boundary as an attack. It is almost funny, is it not? As if your dignity were a personal offense. But here comes the serious part. If you do not stop that language now, one day you will be older, tired, vulnerable, and that way of speaking to you will already be in place as a habit. And habits are not debated. They are carried out. This is not about fighting with your children. It is about teaching them, even now that they are adults, that they do not get to play games with you at the expense of your worth. Respect is not a gift they give you when they are in a good mood. Respect is the minimum requirement for access to you. And if that seems like too much to ask, it is because they were paying far too little. So stop laughing at what hurts you. Stop justifying what degrades you. And above all, stop calling love what diminishes you. Because if you do not protect your place today, tomorrow you will live in the place they assign to you, and that is usually the corner where useful things are kept, but not valuable ones. 2. Do not tolerate emotional blackmail, threats, or guilt used to control you. This is more common than it seems, And that is exactly why it is so dangerous, because it comes with a shaky voice, with drama, with phrases that sound like love, but are really a rope around your neck. If you do not do this for me, that proves you do not care about me. Do not complain later if I pull away. After everything I have been through, and you cannot even... And you. So you do not feel like a bad mother or a bad father, give in. Again. Emotional blackmail does not need physical force. It only needs your guilt. And if you are the kind of person who tries hard to do the right thing, to be good, to never fail, then they already know exactly how to handle you. They know which buttons to push. They know which words disarm you. And if you do not see it, they will repeat it until it becomes routine. One phone call, one tear, one victim tone, and you are already rushing to fix their life as if it were a worldwide emergency. The ironic part is that every time you give in to the threat, you teach them that the threat works. It is like training someone to press the same button over and over because it always gets rewarded. If every time they say, "If you do not help me, I will stop talking to you," you run to please them, what do you think they will use next time? Exactly, the same weapon. And every repetition chips away at your self-esteem a little more, even if you are still smiling on the outside. And here comes the question many people avoid because it hurts to face it head-on. Is that love? Or is it emotional kidnapping with a family label slapped on it? Because love does not back you into a corner. Love does not punish you with silence. Love does not make you pay with anxiety just because you chose what is best for you. If your grown child loves you, they may get upset, they may feel frustrated, but they are not going to manipulate you as if you were a resource to exploit. Now be careful with this trap. You can feel compassion for their problems and still refuse to be controlled. Compassion is not obedience. Supporting someone is not the same as submitting to them, because there is a kind of grown child who does not want a solution. They want control, they do not want connection. They want an advantage. And the moment you start saying no, the performance begins. The exaggeration, the guilt, the dramatic line delivered just so you will break. Your response has to be simple and firm. Do not start debating feelings as if they were contracts. Do not get dragged into the mud of, "So now you do not love me." Do not turn it into a trial about your parenting. You are not being tested. You are setting a boundary. And a healthy boundary sounds like this: "I love you, but I'm not going to make decisions under threat." That is not coldness. That is emotional hygiene. They will try to make you justify it, explain it, defend it. And that is where you lose if you get hooked by the urge to convince them. Because the blackmailer does not want to understand. They want to win. If you start explaining yourself, they grab onto every word to open another argument. And before you know it, you are exhausted, feeling guilty, and on top of that, you did exactly what they wanted. A perfect deal for them. A quiet ruin for you. There is also something you need to accept, even if it is uncomfortable. Some grown children got used to you breaking yourself apart for them. And when you stop breaking yourself apart, they call you selfish. How convenient, right? Because if you take care of yourself, they lose a benefit. So they label you to pressure you. Do not accept that label. Let them say whatever they want. The one who truly loves you adjusts. The one who was only using you complains. If you cut off the blackmail today, you are buying peace for tomorrow. You're getting your inner freedom back. You're avoiding that bitter old age where everything is decided based on not provoking anyone. Because that is what blackmail does in the long run. It turns you into a hostage. And you did not bring anyone into this world just to end up living like a prisoner inside your own conscience. So when guilt shows up, look it straight in the eye. Do not run from it, do not deny it, but do not obey it either. Guilt is often nothing more than the symptom that you are breaking an old habit. And breaking old habits is exactly what is going to save your dignity in the years ahead. 3. Do not accept being used as a bank, an ATM, or a constant financial fix, because this gets disguised as help and ends up becoming a slow bleed. At first it is just this month, just until I get back on my feet, just because you can. And because you still have that parent instinct to solve things, you give in. Then it happens again and again. And one day you realize you were not supporting them. You were funding their disorder. There is a huge difference between helping a grown child and carrying their life for them, as if they were still a teenager. Helping is occasional, with clear limits, with responsibility on the other person's side. Carrying them is paying the price for their decisions, while they keep living as if the future does not exist. And the worst part is that when you get tired, they do not say, "Thank you for everything." They complain, as if your retirement were a family investment fund, as if your peace of mind were a service they are entitled to. In the middle of this game, ask yourself an uncomfortable question. If tomorrow you could not give them a single cent, would they still treat you the same way? Or does your value go down the moment your wallet does? Because that is where the truth is. When a grown child sees you as an ATM, affection turns into a transaction, and without meaning to, you end up buying peace in installments, paying so they will not make a scene, paying so they will not get angry, paying so that everything will stay fine. And this tears anyone up inside because you do not want to feel hard-hearted. You want to be a good father, a good mother. But listen to this carefully. Being good does not mean letting yourself be drained. Being good also means teaching them that the world does not revolve around them. Seneca, a Roman who understood power, money, and manipulation very well, said something that hits like a cold shower. It is not the person with little who is poor, but the one who wants more. And that line is not about bank accounts, it is about character. A grown child who always needs more from you, even after you have already given too much, is not needy, they are accustomed. Set limits that do not depend on your guilt. If you decide to help, let it be on your terms, not under pressure, not under blackmail, not under invented emergencies. And if you are not going to help, say it without long excuses. You do not have to justify your right to protect what is yours. Your money is not the symbol of your love. Your love is shown through presence, guidance, and respect, not endless transfers. And yes, they will get creative. They will tell you, "What did you work so hard for if it was not for us?" Amazing, right? As if you came into this world to be the financial extension of their whims. You worked to build a life, not to pay for someone else's irresponsibility. Your old age is not a backup plan for adults who do not want to grow up. Cut this off in time, because when your fragile years arrive, when your energy is not enough, when the medical expenses begin to show up, that is when every "just this month" turns into a heavy regret. And no one, absolutely no one, is going to give you back the time or the security you gave away, just because you were afraid they would get angry. 4. Do not allow your home, your time, and your decisions to be invaded as if they did not matter. This is one of the things that ages you most from the inside, because it does not show from the outside. You still have a roof over your head, you still have family, you are still surrounded by people, but inside you are trapped. Your house becomes a transit station, your living room becomes a waiting room, your peace becomes a luxury that is always postponed. The grown child who invades does not always do it with bad intentions. Sometimes it is just habit, the habit you allowed for years. They show up without warning. They step into your schedule. They call whenever they want and expect you to be available, as if you did not have a life of your own. They give opinions about your house, your partner, how you spend your money, how you should live. And if you show even the slightest discomfort, they paint you as dramatic. What is the big deal? We are family. But family is not a synonym for unlimited access. Family does not mean having the emotional and physical key to your life and walking in whenever they feel like it. Your home is your refuge, not their customer service desk. Your time is your life in pieces. And if you hand it over carelessly, you are left with no life at all, only obligations. Think about this for a second. Right in the middle of the situation, not at the beginning when you are still calm. Are they visiting you or are they occupying you? Are they keeping you company or are they managing you? Because there is a big difference between sharing and taking over. And when someone takes over your space, they also take over your voice. You start asking permission in your own home. You start adjusting your decisions so they will not get upset. You start living in "let's not cause problems" mode. And that is the perfect recipe for an old age without freedom. Here the boundary is not aggression, it is order. Give notice before coming over, respect schedules. Understand that you are not available all the time, that you can say, "not today," that you can make plans without giving too much explanation. And if they get offended, let them be offended. The adult who respects you learns quickly. The one who invades gets angry because the boundary cuts off the benefit. And watch out for the sentimental trap, because they will throw the line at you like a soft stab. So now you do not want me to come over. You are not the same anymore. You did not used to be like this. Of course you are not the same anymore. Before you were trained to endure. Now you are learning to live, and that even if it makes some people uncomfortable is exactly what belongs to you. If you do not protect your home and your time, you become a guest inside your own life. And that is not love, that is surrender. Your old age does not have to be a hallway where everyone walks through and you just step aside. Your old age can be your space, your pace, your choice, but only if you start defending it today. 5. Do not overlook irresponsibility, and I am not talking about making one mistake. I am talking about that pattern where everything is, yes, yes, I'll take care of it, and then they vanish into thin air. They promise to take you to the doctor, handle that paperwork, call you stop by on Saturday, that this time they really will be there. And you organize yourself, move things around, let yourself feel a little hopeful, and tell yourself, well, at least I can count on them. Then the day comes, and nothing, silence, a late excuse, or worse, not even that. And look how cruel this is, because it does not just take away help. It takes away your sense of security. It leaves you in that state of alert where you no longer ask, no longer expect, but it still hurts. And on top of that, they sell it to you like it is normal. Oh, it slipped my mind. I've been swamped. It's not that serious. Of course it is not that serious, until the one in need is you. Then it is serious. Then you remember who follows through and who only talks nicely. In the middle of all this, answer yourself honestly. Are you raising responsible adults, or are you rewarding negligence with your endless patience? How many times have you done the extra work yourself just to avoid demanding the bare minimum from them? Because that is the trick. When you always step in and fix things after they fail, they learn that failing costs them nothing, that promises are free, that your time can be broken apart and it does not matter. And watch out for the usual performance. You're talking to me like I'm a child. No, do not act like a child, and nobody will have to talk to you like one. Because an adult with self-respect does not leave their parents hanging when they are needed. An adult gives notice, follows through, takes responsibility, or at least has the decency to say, I can't, without playing hide and seek. Here, the boundary is not a scolding. It is a change in the rules. The next time they promise something important, do not settle for words alone. Ask for clarity. Ask for real commitment. And if they fail, let there be a consequence. Not drama, consequence. You stop relying on them for serious things. You stop putting your well-being in the hands of someone who lives by improvising. Because improvisation in youth is adventure. In your old age, other people's improvisation can be dangerous. And one more thing, because sometimes this stings. There are grown children who show up when they need something, but when you need them, they suddenly become experts in, I just can't today. What a perfect coincidence, right? They are always busy when it comes to giving, but magically available when it comes to asking. Well then, life also gets set in order through reciprocity, not out of revenge, out of dignity. Your old age is not built on promises. It is built on actions. And if the actions are not there, you cannot live waiting for them to change by magic one day. People change when they realize the world does not stop for their irresponsibility. And in your life, that world begins with you. 6. Do not accept manipulation through grandchildren or family to gain an advantage. This is the low blow, the one they use when the usual tantrum no longer works. They use your grandchildren as a shield and the family as a courtroom. If you don't do this, you won't see them. If you're not on my side, I'm not inviting you. Just wait until I tell your brother. And you, with your soft heart, give in. Because of course, who wants to miss out on seeing their grandchildren? Who wants to be painted as the villain at the family gathering? But understand this once and for all. When someone uses children as currency, they are not protecting the family. They are using the family as leverage. And that is disgraceful, even when it comes from your own grown child. What hurts is not just the threat. It is the message underneath it. I will take away what you love until you obey. That is not love. That is control wearing a family face. And in the middle of that pressure comes the question you need to ask yourself to wake up. Are you going to spend your life buying peace with your submission just so they let you see the people you love? Are you going to accept access to your grandchildren, turning into a reward they hand out when you behave? Because if you give in today out of fear of losing them, the price goes up tomorrow. It always goes up. It is like an emotional fee that never stays the same. A very Stoic idea may help here, but in a practical way without poetry. James Stockdale, an admiral who survived years of captivity by holding on to Epictetus, left behind a line that is gold for this kind of manipulation. They can chain your body, but they have no authority over your judgment or your will. And yes, I know that sounds extreme. You are not in a prison cell, but emotionally, when they threaten to cut you off from your family, they are trying to do exactly the same thing. To chain you on the inside, to make you decide from fear. Your task is to take the wheel back. Do not argue with blackmail as if it were reasonable. Do not beg. Do not plead. You draw the line calmly, and that unsettles them. I am not going to negotiate under threats. If you want me in the children's lives, it will be through respect, not punishment. And then you stop talking, because when you over-explain, they turn it into a debate. And this is not a debate. This is a boundary. They will test you. They will put on a show. They will say that you are the one tearing the family apart. Funny how tearing the family apart always means you are supposed to stay quiet and pay the price, and keeping the family together always means you submit. That definition works a little too well for them. A healthy family is not held together by fear. It is held together by respect. And yes, it may hurt. There may be a season of distance. But let me tell you something almost nobody dares to say out loud. If you stay in a relationship where you are only allowed to love when you obey, you are already far away, even if you are physically close. You are close in body but far away in dignity. You do not want an old age like that, walking on eggshells just to be allowed to exist. Protect your grandchildren with your example. Teach them even indirectly that love is not a weapon, that family is not extortion, and that a grandparent with boundaries is not a bad grandparent, it is a free grandparent. 7. Do not let them isolate you. Because when a grown child cannot control you with money, guilt, or drama, they try the quietest method of all, leaving you alone. It starts softly. They criticize your friends. They mock your partner. They make you feel ridiculous for going out, for having hobbies, for wanting a life that is not about being available to them all the time. And if you do not stop it, one day there is no longer a real you left, only a tamed-down version living with a phone in hand, waiting for instructions. Isolation almost always disguises itself as concern. That friend is not good for you. That partner is using you. Why do you go out so much? And look, sometimes there may be genuine concern, of course. But the key is the pattern. If everything that gives you air bothers them, if everything that makes you feel good gets attacked, if every plan you make ends in an argument, then it is not care. It is possession. They want you close not out of love, but out of control. And here comes the question few people dare to ask themselves in the middle of the noise. If you were left without friends, without a partner, without a life of your own, who would your whole world be? Exactly, them. And who would then hold all the power in the relationship? Them too. That is why it works. Because an isolated parent is an easy parent. An isolated parent feels guilty faster. An isolated parent gives in more easily. An isolated parent has no one to say, "Hey, that is not okay." Marcus Aurelius, who besides being an emperor was a man obsessed with governing himself, left an idea that would serve you well to tattoo into your mind in moments like this. If something external throws your inner world into disorder, the problem is not the thing itself, but the judgment you are accepting. And here the external thing may be your grown child's opinion, that constant pressure. You decide whether you buy into that judgment or remain steady, because your life does not answer to the approval of someone who still has not learned how to respect you. Be clear without making it a war. My friendships are my decision. My relationship will be respected. I have a life. And if they answer with sarcasm, mockery, or that usual look of annoyance, do not shrink. Let them be uncomfortable. Freedom always makes uncomfortable the person who preferred you manageable. And one more thing. Do not get drawn into justifying everything. You do not have to give an account of yourself for wanting company, for laughing, for going out, for falling in love, for having projects. You are not a piece of furniture to be used at will. If your grown children love you, they will learn to share your attention with the rest of your life. If they cannot, then it is not love. It is dependence. Defend your relationships. Defend your social space. Defend your joy. Because when old age truly comes, the kind that brings long silences and real losses, what sustains you is not your children's control. It is your network, your people, your purpose, your world. And that world is not something you hand over to anyone. 8. Do not let them turn you into the permanent caretaker of their problems. This is the one that wears you down the most without you realizing it, because it is not always about money or the house. It is about energy, your mind, your peace. There are grown children who use you as an emotional dumping ground and as a crisis desk. Every week there is a fire. Every conversation is drama. Every call is urgent. And without noticing it, you start living on alert, putting out fires you did not even start. They tell you about their conflicts as if you were their therapist, their judge, and their lifeguard all at once. They ask for advice, but do not apply it. They ask for help, but change nothing. They ask for support, but never take responsibility. And when you try to create some distance, they pull out the same old script, that you are abandoning them, that you are no longer there, that you are not the way you used to be. Of course not. Before you were available to be squeezed dry. In the middle of that dynamic, stop and look at it for what it is. Are you supporting your grown child, or are you carrying a life they refuse to put in order? Because there is a very fine line between being present and becoming their permanent crutch, and that line is crossed when your peace of mind depends on them staying out of trouble. At that point, you no longer have a life of your own. You are on permanent duty. And no, I'm not telling you to be cold. I'm telling you to be fair to yourself. You can listen without absorbing. You can love without rescuing. You can support without giving yourself up. It is one thing to say, I understand, that's hard, and a completely different thing to spend hours being drained, losing sleep, and feeling responsible for decisions that are not yours. Your old age is not the place where you pay for somebody else's immaturity. The boundary here sounds simple, but it is hard because it touches your identity. Son, I love you, but you have to solve this yourself. I can listen for a while, but I cannot stay in this all day. I am not going to step in. And when they try to drag you into their chaos, you do not step into the mud to argue. You step out, because chaos feeds on constant attention. If you take that away, either they learn to mature, or they find somewhere else to unload themselves. They will call you selfish. They will tell you that this is what being a parent is for. And that is when you breathe and remember something basic. Raising children does not mean mortgaging your peace forever. You already did your job. Now it is time to live. Now it is time to take care of yourself. Now it is time to choose which burdens you carry and which ones you do not. Because shoulders age too, not just the shoulders of the body, but the shoulders of the soul. And listen carefully to this, because your old age is decided here. If you do not let go of that rescuer role, you will become a tired, bitter older adult, with an agenda full of other people's problems and no time left to enjoy what remains of your life. But if you let it go with firmness and love, you get something back that seemed lost. The right to live your own life fully, without asking permission and without guilt. If there is one thing you should remember, it is this. Your grown children can be close to you and still disrespect you in 1,000 small ways, and every small form of disrespect you tolerate today becomes a bigger one tomorrow when you no longer have the same strength to defend yourself. Setting boundaries is not losing love. It is reclaiming your place. It is stopping the habit of buying peace with your silence, your money, your home, and your energy, and returning to that dignity that is not begged for but upheld. Now bring this into real life, into the everyday. Do not wait for the next humiliation, the next act of blackmail, or the next made-up emergency. Decide what your rules are and say them calmly in one clear sentence, without explaining yourself as if you were guilty. And when the pressure comes, do not rush. Do not negotiate with threats. Do not run in to rescue anyone. Endure the discomfort of being firm, because that discomfort does not last long, but the peace it buys lasts for years. If this video helped you, subscribe and stay with me here, because this is something you practice, not something you understand once, and that is it. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Write the phrase, I am stoic, so I know you are taking your place in your own life seriously. And if you feel like it, tell me what country or city you are listening from, so we can keep building this community of people who no longer let themselves be dragged around by guilt. I'm Gabriel, and this was the Stoic Garden. On your screen, 2 recommended videos will appear so you can keep sharpening your character and your boundaries. Choose one and keep going, because life is not fixed with intention, it is fixed with decisions. And today, your decision can be simple. Respect yourself even if it makes someone uncomfortable.